This is GIMI Productions on the track.
What's up, everybody? This is Case Study QB, and we are the Political Junkies back again. You know, Nico was supposed to be here, but he didn't want to debate. Now, I'm just playing. He had a speaking engagement that, you know, the guy Nico, he's a big dude. You know, he's doing big things, so he was too big for us to come on. Now, I'm just kidding. He said he's gonna be back, but we got our man Kit Cabello from Hard Lens Media, and he's here as a guest. I built a relationship with Kit because he's been watching the Case Study QB on Twitter. He's been checking out those clips, and I really appreciate it when he uses it on his show. And it makes me feel like I'm not just doing all the work in vain, and it makes me feel good that I'm contributing to the progressive community. So, and I want to give a shout out to Daniel, Gunnar, Kira, Laney, Jose, Jerome, John, and Mona, and the rest of the Hard Lens Media team, because they out there working hard. So, Kit, talk to the people.
All right. Well, first of all, it is a real honor to be on your showcase. And
oh man,
as well as
appreciate
it. Being a pundit, I guess, on the show as well. Might as well use that because pundits like to take that name. I say we take it back from them.
Take it back.
Yeah. No. How about instead of taking it back, we're going to steal it from them? Since, of course, there was the establishment, and of course, corporate media is owned by the corporations. So we're going to take it. We're going to take it from them since they're taking everything from us. And if they want to cry about it, too bad, so sad. So again, a huge shout out to Case Study QB. Again, we use your a lot of your content that you post on Twitter and on YouTube. I think it's important that we get these snippets of corporate media, so that, we, the people, can actually see what they're actually talking about. And more importantly, go through the BS that they're presenting to the American people.
You got that right.
It's going to have to be up to the people.
Definitely.
That's my little rant. I'll try to take it back, but it's really good to be here and represent Hard Lens Media. Appreciate it,
man. And definitely, this is basically a discussion forum where we do cover the news, of course, but it's more of a think tank. That's how I envision Political Junkies, where we discuss the nuances of issues, and we're going to have disagreements within each other, and we can discuss that, and basically, hopefully, we can contribute to the progressive sphere as much as you and a lot of other guys have. So with that said, I want to thank Gabe, John, Carlito, we got Kid again, and Izzy, and we're about to get into it. It looks like the Democrats have a chance at increasing their seats in the House. Who would you want as Speaker of the House? So let me take this first, because I'm really fascinated by the Speaker of the House position, and the fact that we talked about the CARES Act that just passed, and a lot of the complaints in the progressive community was how little the progressives in the House and the Senate did not organize so that we can have $2,000 UBI, Medicare for all during the COVID. There wasn't an organizing effort, at least from what we could see on the outside. So I'm already thinking about this way in advance. So let's say, even if, God forbid, Trump is in office again, but if Biden is there, we still need to organize around a Speaker of the House. So I'm going to show some articles. Let me bring up this article. This is an article of back in 2018, when Nancy Pelosi was running for Speaker of the House. She had one person that was thinking about challenging her from the left, which is Marcia Fudge, right? And then she was getting pressure from the right also. So they came to an agreement to have term limits. So this is kind of a little known. I don't see this too often, but Nancy Pelosi made a deal that she's going to be term limited out after this next speakership, which is interesting. So she might become Speaker one more time, but after that, she's not going to be Speaker. They put that into the law. Can we organize to either get a more progressive leader in there, or even try to push her more to the left? So let me throw out some other articles real quick. The term limits agreement, which still needs to be formalized by a vote of the House, will limit caucus leaders to 3 terms and a 4th term if 2/3 of the caucus agrees to it. The new limits would apply retroactively to Pelosi, as well as incoming Majority Leader Steny Hoyer of Maryland, and incoming Majority Whip Jim Clyburn. All right. And then let's go back to the original question. Who would you like to see as Speaker of the House?
Okay, are we talking about like what we want, or just like a scenario of like a dream that we would like to see?
Give me both. Give me whatever you want to speak on the topic.
Okay, well then here, let's talk about reality, and it's going to be a little controversial because I guess some people in a lot of people in the progressive community have been very critical of her. If I want to see a Speaker of the House be Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and I say this because it's not Nancy Pelosi. After seeing this, how the Congress has been acting, our current leadership, I'm definitely for term limits. I'm also for age limit too, because someone who's in their late 70s, early 80s clearly does not know what's happening at the hour.
Your age is in.
At the second. And look, it's nothing against senior citizens, but seeing as the majority of our politicians right now, they clearly are stuck in a different time era. Now, of course, there are a lot of senior citizens, especially those who are voters and activists and organizers, who are well aware that, okay, I don't want to see my children and grandchildren's groups, suffer. But our politicians, however, they just can't be in this form of power. Now, I say AOC because there's still potential and hope. Okay, I still hold on to that idea, that false notion, that ridiculous idea, that fleeting idea of hope, because I see her story, how AOC came into power, and while there's a lot of criticism towards her, I think there's still chance for her to continue to grow. All right, this is her first term in. She just won re-election. I think we have to keep an open communication with AOC, but more importantly, let's look at the environment that AOC is in. The very fact that we got some progressives in Washington, D.C. is saying a lot, and beggars can't be choosers at this point. I'm very sorry. Unless there's a massive political revolution, voter engagement, voter involvement, Washington, D.C. is still going to be that swamp bubble. AOC is by herself, and I think it's really up to us to remind her that, hey, you're a public servant. I know you're calling Nancy Pelosi Mama Bear, but you got to get that notion out. I believe that AOC knows more about what's happening than Nancy. I think AOC should be the rightful Speaker of the House. Now, for a fantasy, what I would want, what I would like to see, solid leadership, it would have to be Representative Tulsi Gabbard from the state of Hawaii, because at least there she is able to build a coalition with, dare I say it, Republicans and Democrats. She was able to really do it. She was able to really stand up, especially during the ridiculous impeachment hearings, which I think was a waste of time. Yeah, she voted president, but the thing is, the Democrats were never going to impeach Trump, and the Republicans were never going to go along with it. Tulsi Gabbard had the wisdom and the knowledge to see that, okay, this is a waste of time. She voted president. Did anything else change? No. The DNC and RNC still went at each other's throats, and Tulsi Gabbard took the correct path as far as I'm concerned, and was the only one who really knew what to do at that point. Tulsi Gabbard should be the Speaker of the House, but sadly she is stepping down because the DNC is full of its own crap. Corporate media is full of its own crap. I wish her all the best. But that's my fantasy. That would be my dream if Tulsi Gabbard were the Speaker of the House, but that's never going to happen because the DNC are a bunch of hypocrites. So that's my perspective, my point of view. Am I wrong? Probably. And will people comment on this? Yes. But, that's just my opinion.
No worries. This is what it's all about. Yeah. This is all about. We're going to put it all on the table. Go ahead.
People are going to comment. People are going to comment no matter what. So
exactly.
Hey, we welcome people's comment. We welcome people's comment. Let us know.
Hey, we got some good comments, some insightful stuff. But to me, really, this is something that it was Maxine Waters, Raul Grijalva. I mean, nobody really excites me right now because, the way the system is, the swamp the kid mentioned. There's no way that we're going to get somebody that we really love and will do the things that we want and push the House to be progressive, really do a Green New Deal like we really wanted to. So, to me, it's a great topic to discuss, but I just kind of checked out on it. I was like, yeah, man, I'm discouraged.
My fantasy pick is Representative Ro Khanna. I think that he is taking the route of the infiltration. At least either he's the best spy in the world and he's really establishment, or this guy is really doing what we consider democratic infiltration the right way. So he's a Bernie campaign co-chair. He's progressive on all the policies: Green New Deal, Medicare for all, $15 minimum wage, and he's actually been able to get laws passed well, one law that passed that was vetoed by Trump, and that one was to end the war in Yemen. It was a bipartisan bill. It got through the House, got through the Senate, and ultimately it was vetoed by Trump. But I think that shows that despite record or despite the stereotype of a progressive can't get law through, he was able to get that through with a bipartisan support. And that was great. He's actually taking on a lot of different leadership roles and different committees and things like that within the party. So he's a vice chair of the Congressional Progressive Caucus. He's on the House Budget, Armed Services and Oversight and Reform Committees. He's an assistant whip. And he also listens to feedback. I remember there was a big drama when he endorsed Joe Crowley back when he in the AOC original primary, and when that blowback hit him, he actually went on interviews and he ended up co-endorsing AOC because he saw her policies and saw that she was more in line with him. So while it wasn't the greatest thing, it would have been nice for him to withdraw the endorsement and go to her. At least it showed that he heard the feedback. And he was able to be honest about it. Yeah, there's no way for me to endorse him, but not endorse somebody that supports the same policies as me. He's also co-sponsored. He's been like the Bernie of the House. So when Bernie comes out with the big policy, the No War Against Iran Act, the College Affordability Act, the Stop Bezos Act, it's always him. And then on the right-hand man is Ro Khanna. So my pick is I think he's somebody that can actually get in there and be our progressive leader in the House and also get these bills to the floor that right now we can't get. Who will get picked is probably going to be Pelosi undoing the term limits and then coming back again. That's likely what's going to happen because if we know what the Democrats love to do is they love to give a big middle finger to us.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Like, that's right.
To me, it's like anyone but Pelosi, man. We just need some like new voice. Like, like Kit said, like we love to have AOC, but we know like she can't even get more than 60 seconds at the convention. So
yeah, that is true.
I mean, so who knows what we're gonna get? But I would just at this point, man, anyone but Pelosi, man, just someone that's like.
I don't know if I go that far with anybody but Pelosi. I think we got to be very careful.
Yeah.
Like,
who
takes
true.
that seat?
Yeah, that's
like,
true.
Not any because see, it kind of goes in that notion of vote blue, no matter who.
No matter who.
I think if we're gonna say like anybody who Pelosi is like, oh no.
Yeah. Kid, let me show you real quick. This was somebody here, Seth Moulton, who wanted to challenge. He was one of the people that was giving Pelosi a hard time, and as we saw when he tried to run for president, that dude was a mess. He's definitely a conservative Democrat. We can't have that guy. I want to jump in here real quick and just let me tell who I would love to see, which is Barbara Lee. Barbara Lee is actually a realistic person that can become Speaker of the House because she ran for leadership last time. But I'm going to also show you this article right here where it says Joe Crowley's pardon shot, ousted by Ocasio-Cortez. He undermined Barbara Lee in the House leadership race. So when Joe Crowley lost to AOC, because he used the fact that Barbara Lee gave AOC money, Barbara Lee gave AOC money after she won the primary. So not before, because before, if you're an incumbent, it's like sacrosanct. You cannot support a challenger. But afterwards, it was only fair that, she's trying to build camaraderie. But Joe Crowley used that and to basically sully Barbara Lee's name. And she ran but lost to this person right here, Hakeem Jeffries. And I think she has a lot of respect among progressives. Just to be in a leadership position to run, period, you have to have a certain amount of camaraderie. So I'm hoping that next time, with some progressives coming in, you got Jamal Bowman, we got Cori Bush coming in there, and among others, hopefully she can build enough clout to get in there and become Speaker of the House.
She was also the only vote against the Afghanistan war out of like everyone.
And that's where her credibility comes from with being progressive, because she actually endorsed Kamala at first, right? We would expect her to endorse Bernie. But I think just by the fact that she was the only person to vote against the Iraq war, including Bernie did, he went for it. That gives her like 1 million progressive points. And she got maybe a couple subtracted for not endorsing Bernie. So I think realistically,
one of my big pet peeves is that I like my leaders to have good foresight, not good hindsight. Everybody can
Exactly.
have hindsight and say, oh, well, that was a mistake and I grew from it. But it's only the few people that can have the right position before you know what the right position is. So,
and you also know, like, Crowley had probably the reason why he probably wanted to say that was why he was next in line, Speaker of the House, right? So they were prepping him for that. So the fact that AOC took him out, you know, they know what to do after. So
all right, so the next topic we're going to talk about Ron DeSantis, and he has a video here that I'm going to show right now.
Do you believe that the system was in part put together the way it was to discourage people from being able to collect
I think that was the animating philosophy. I mean, having studied how it was internally constructed, I think the goal was, for whoever designed it, was let's put as many kind of pointless roadblocks along the way so people just say, "Oh, the hell with it, I'm not going to do that." And for me, let's decide on what the benefit is and let's get it out as efficiently as possible. We shouldn't necessarily do these roadblocks to do it. So we have cleared a lot of those, and I waived a lot of requirements through executive order. But I think going forward, I want all our systems, including unemployment, to be user friendly. And it was not user friendly.
Well, that system was designed and implemented during the Rick Scott administration. Do you think that was Rick Scott's intention, was to discourage people from applying for benefits?
I'm not sure if it was his, but I think definitely in terms of how it was internally constructed, it was definitely done in a way to lead to the least number of claims being paid out.
As you can see right there, they did not want people, filing for unemployment. Go ahead, Carlito.
Man, this is something that it's almost like but when I saw it, it came into my radar also because this whole push to reopen the country, it's a pandemic. I was suspicious here in Georgia of Brian Kemp trying to do it simply because they didn't want the state to be spending money on unemployment. And look at how difficult it is for people that I know to file in the first place. It just looked like this is ridiculous. It's like they almost don't want people to get any unemployment because they don't want to put the money out. So then when I saw this video, I was like, see, even in Florida, somebody saw the system, how it was built internally, and to a Republican, it was obvious that it was built in order to block people from actually getting the benefits that they deserve.
Let's talk about this weird cult of work that we have in this country. This comes from this Puritan Pilgrim propaganda that we've been getting since we've all been in school, that, you got to work hard, a weird cult of work that we have in this country. Work, 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 and you'll make it. Work, 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 and you'll keep on doing it. Hustle, gig economy, keep on working, keep on working. No breaks. No one's going to give you a hands out because, this has to also deal with the aftermath of the Reagan administration. Take away any social safety nets. Make sure no one gets anything. Make sure everyone's working because, hey, we don't give anything out to bums or weak people or slow-witted people because that's the propaganda that's been fed to us for years. And you know what? It turns out it was one big lie. Let's talk about those Puritans and Pilgrims real quick. They weren't just persecuted out of England. Everyone got tired of their crap, all right? And that's 200 years ago, where they're saying you couldn't drink, you couldn't smoke, you couldn't have fun, period. You just had to work because I was getting close to God. Okay, well, first, all of that has fallen apart. This virus has shown how weak this neoliberal system that we have truly is. It's nothing but smoke and mirrors. It's all built on air. It's all one big lie. And when you tell a lie, yeah, you could get away with it, but it starts to crack and fall apart because the truth will always overwhelm a lie, because you can tell a lie time and time again until some people start questioning it and looking into it and investigating it. And when it falls apart, it's right in front of us all. And now let's look at unemployment. People need it. People pay into it. So that means all of us, no matter what your political perspective is, no matter who you worship, how old you are, who you vote for, the color of your skin, you are paying into unemployment. That is your entitlement. That is your benefit. And if that goes against the corporate propaganda, too bad, so sad, because the rest of the world, at least in their point, are taking care of their citizens. We just did a story on UBI in Canada. You know what? The Canadians have UBI. And is Canada Mad Max? Is it a lawless state? Are people lazy? Are people becoming sex addicts, drug addicts, alcoholics, gamblers? No. In fact, it's the exact opposite. They're feeling happier. They're feeling more relieved that they have a UBI program. Now, here in the United States, unemployment's deemed like a bad thing. You can't have it. You can't do it because that means you're lazy and weak. Well, we are dealing with an overwhelming power of nature that is shutting down everything. And I know there's a lot of people that want to reopen the country. I get it. Here's my Biden impression. I get it. I get it. But you know what? You're not going to reopen the country so fast. This virus has no cure, no vaccination yet. Now, there is talk about a vaccination, but it's not available in mass for the people. And the only way to keep people safe is by doing the social distancing programs. And with that, the consequence is that the standard work system that we have will not apply. So people need to collect unemployment. People need it because before COVID, I'm pretty sure we all read the same stories about people working 2 or 3 jobs just to make ends meet, and it's still not enough. And now with all these jobs, all these retail jobs, all these industries shutting down, the people need unemployment. But the system has been put in place to make it difficult, to make it so overwhelming that a person will give up. And since I'm a veteran, I've had to go through the red tape of getting my military benefits too. And it's all set up to make a person give up. And it's becoming very real. And now there's 55 million Americans that are right now being counted by the system. But let's look at something very horrific. Let's look at the Americans that are not being counted by the system. Those who are underemployed, or those who were on unemployment no longer recognized because their benefits have given up. We are dealing with something that is horrifyingly antiquated in this country, and it's hurting the working poor, Black communities, Latino communities, Caucasian communities, Asian communities. It doesn't matter at this point. The number is so astronomically huge. Right now it's 55 million, but is it fair enough for us to say that maybe that number is far more larger of people who don't have jobs? Is it 60, 70? Do I dare shoot for 100 million? It's
exactly.
horrifying and sad. But the thing is, when you look at those numbers, they're just not numbers. Those are flesh and blood human beings with families. And our government at the federal level and state level put this maze in to make it so impossible. And when you make it impossible, then there is another thing where people have to look at, what am I doing? Am I paying the bills to keep the light on? Or am I paying the bills to keep the heat on? Am I able to have enough money to put food on the table? Do I have enough money to get medicine for my kids or my senior or my senior citizen relatives? This is something that's happening in the most developed country in the world, and the rest of the world doesn't have it.
And it's crazy because it always seems to happen under like Republicans. Like they seem to always know how to set up a policy that's going to mess up the average person.
But if you look at state like mine, like Virginia, and even with New York, with everybody, their king Como, come to the state. I know people for sure that they will ask trick questions such as oh, do you quit? Do you quit for COVID? But you're like, well, I technically didn't quit. I kind of I quit work. But if you answer that question a certain way, you're not getting your unemployment check. I know people that, in Virginia, they said, oh, I submitted, I didn't get back for 3 or 4 weeks. They were like, no, I only started a job a month ago. So because you started a month ago and you didn't have X amount of hours, you're not allowed to claim unemployment. So you're not getting anything. So wait, so if I started a job a month ago and everything was closed due to this pandemic, the concept was that I was going to get, unemployment for the pandemic, right? It didn't matter if I started a week ago, a month ago, a year ago, or whatever it is. I've been working at my previous job, so now I have to file in paperwork from the previous job. So it's not just, I know Florida is always Florida, but in Virginia, we have a Democratic governor. In Florida and New York, they have their great savior Como, and it happening. I know people for sure that it happened, and like Kit said, they gave up. They're like, look, I'm spending more time on the phone. I can't get through the phone. I can't get online. I keep getting denied. I request a hearing, and I'm not getting anything. So I spend a month on this, and I'm spending more time trying to just get it. So I just give up, and I don't even try anymore. So when they say, oh, the unemployment job claim went down, of course it went down because people gave up. It's not like people are finding jobs. People are just be like, I'm done with this, and I'm going to try my best to just make it as much as I can, and it is what it is.
Let's move on to the next topic. Amy McGrath shakes up her campaign and hires Bloomberg alumni to lead it. And I'm going to show you after Kid gave us a little dramatics right there. I'm going to show you an article real quick. So here it is. There's Amy McGrath shakes up her campaign. So John, let's talk about this.
Hey, we got 80 days to go to election day, and McGrath went all in on her. Spend 7 million, 18 million bucks, and now she's gonna hire Bloomberg people, right? Like, how on earth are you supposed to get excited to go and vote for someone like
Mhm.
and like, if you like, that's why I always ask myself, like, do Democrats really want to lose, want to beat McConnell and Trump? The
Nope.
things that they do, their action tells you otherwise. They most likely never reach out to Charles. Like, they should have, Booker in there trying to like convince like people and stuff like that. She's gonna get slaughtered. Mitch is gonna win. Like, there's no, and now you this switch, and what you bring is Bloomberg people. Like, how
That's
to win?
You don't give her like a little bit of credit for going and finding a winning campaign like the Bloomberg campaign and give her some support. Like, we all know the success of the Bloomberg campaign. Their 100 days that they were in the race and the billions of dollars that they managed to spend. I mean, wouldn't you put that on your team?
I want to jump in on that real quick, John. Hold on one second, because you brought up a very good point. Would we want Charles Booker to be out there trying to promote Amy McGrath, or would we prefer him stay on the sideline, keep his progressive credibility? And we know, I think, Amy is not going to win. So she's not going to win either way, I think, personally. What you think, John?
Like, when she won, like, he had to reach out to her. Like,
that's crazy. That's crazy.
The campaign. They didn't reach out to him. So my thing is, like, they always come to us and voter shame. Oh, you stay home. You don't vote. You guys always crying. You guys are haters. Oh, they never take the time to go like, hey, listen, I get it. Charles didn't win, but like, she should be all over Charles. And
so somebody answer that question though. Do you want Charles Booker to be out there? Okay, go ahead,
No.
Kid.
No.
Okay, so here's what I'm going to say no. Because Charles Booker did what he needed to do. Charles Booker worked hard, especially during the height of the George Floyd protests. Charles Booker was able to gain that momentum and get his name out there and actually convince Kentucky voters of different backgrounds to actually support him. And there were a lot of Kentucky voters who did turn out to vote. Some waiting 7, 8, 9 hours, 10 hours just to vote, even though polling stations were shut down, voting machines weren't working right. Charles Booker did the right thing, and yeah, he did reach out. But the DNC, like they always do to progressives and the independents, slap that hand away. And you know what? Charles Booker can just tip his hat and walk away, and he can keep on fighting the good fight in his own way because he did the right thing. So the DNC doesn't get to say, oh, well, you didn't do it. He did. Charles Booker doesn't need to get involved because even he knows that that's a sinking ship. I interviewed Charles Booker, and he's not going to give up on the fight. He will not give up on the fight, and he's going to keep on pushing forward. Now, the DNC was Amy McGrath. Well, you know what? What I got to say to the Me Too movement is, I remember when Warren went after Bloomberg, and now Amy McGrath's got some people from the Bloomberg campaign helping her out. Is that enough? No, because Kentucky voters don't want to vote for a Republican-light candidate. They're just going to vote for a Republican. And if that offends the vote blue no matter who or blue checkmark people, well, too bad, because your candidate is weak. And if she does win, I'm going to be surprised because it seems like Turtle Boy Mitch McConnell is going to do everything that he needs to do, and Charles Booker has to take the high ground and walk away. There's nothing more he can do to help out Amy McGrath, especially at this short time frame. The DNC clearly doesn't care about progressive votes. They want to get Republican votes. But gee, that strategy didn't work in 2016. But the DNC, like the idiots that they are going to have to learn the hard way again and again and again.
And again, exactly. That's crazy. Go ahead.
I mean, like, not like have like Charles, but like Amy should be like trying to get Charles, right? Like try to like stay hit.
Exactly.
Charles did what he had to do. There's nothing else that he could do. So like, she's completely, and she's not gonna win. Like, she's
exactly. Go ahead, Gabe.
And what hurts most about this race is that, for those who don't know, the Senate is 6-year terms. The House, if you mess up on a race 2 years later, you're back in the fight. Senate, somebody so atrocious as Mitch McConnell, who's done so much harm to the country, it's like you got a good shot to take him out right now. And there was a campaign that had fire behind them that really, like, all the momentum was going in the right direction.
Oh, yeah.
To end up pulling an upset win. And when you kill that momentum, you guarantee that you're gonna have 6 more years of Mitch McConnell, and then that really goes back to what John was saying: is are you really trying to win, or are you just trying to keep the progressives out? Because if you were really trying to win, you would back the candidate that has the enthusiasm, and because running just a classic neoliberal Democrat establishment is not going to do it when it comes to these races. If you're going to have to convince rural voters, you're going to have to convince them with progressive policies that are going to help them, not just the same old, same old.
One thing I would say is, obviously, we don't want to lose Charles. He's a great leader for the progressive movement. We want to continue having him there. We don't want him to fall towards the center. What I will say, though, is, I mean, Gabe, to your point, right? McConnell he's dangerous. He's extremely, extremely dangerous. So if this were a close race, and I don't think it really is, but if it were, okay, maybe I could see Charles trying to help out Amy in this race. But I don't think it's close enough to really lose him in our movement. So I agree. He should probably just stay away and just let her lose, essentially. I mean, that's basically what's going to happen. So just let it happen.
All right. So let's move on to the next topic. So I brought up this topic. I thought it would be very interesting discussion. And I call it the Green Party infiltration. What if the Green Party as a whole decided to spend the next 4 years infiltrating the Democratic Party to influence from the inside?
Talking about the Green Party, right? The Green Party, the United States Green Party, this Green Party. All right. I say this out of love because I'm a huge supporter of, independent parties. I believe we should have a parliamentary system. I believe that we should have truly a multi-party system because the two-party system isn't working because there's so many people identify with different political points of views. But looking at the United States Green Party, they still have a long way to go. And in 2016, after the general election, they basically crapped the bed. They could have done more. They could have been getting involved more. And, I can't help but think of 3 organizations that tried to infiltrate the DNC and reform it and failed miserably. 4, technically. You have the Justice Democrats that have now become a super PAC. You have Brand New Congress. You have Our Revolution. And to some extent, you also have DSA. Did any one of them truly succeed in reforming the DNC? No. Now, did they get some progressives at the state and federal level? Yeah, they did. But it's still not enough. Now, the Green Party, the United States Green Party, that still struggles to get on the ballot, still struggles to get on the debate stage, and right now is dealing with this same crisis as Howie Hawkins, the answer is absolutely no. They don't have what it takes. It's impossible. Even with the financial resources, they still don't have enough. No one takes them serious enough. They could have really built something during the 4 years before we got up to 2020, and they didn't. Now, the thing is, when Heartland's Media got started in 2017, we interviewed Greens and Libertarians, and we did follow the Green Party here in the state of Illinois. And even when they were holding events, we were kind of getting some interesting interviews here and there. And one thing that was standing out was we did talk to people who used to be part of Bernie Sanders' volunteer campaign and Our Revolution, a few other things, and they're all saying the same thing. The Green Party, just like the DNC, is not embracing new ideas or inviting different people to bring in their perspectives. Because the Green Party is holding on to its antiquated ideas. And look, there are some stories here and there. It'll vary from state to state where, some Greens are really hesitant in inviting in people from minority communities, like from the Latino and African American communities, from taking positions of leadership or bringing in change or trying to do more outreach. And the Green Party is stuck on this old idea. So here you have this political party similar to the DNC, but with no power, no money, no respect, and they're still pushing back people who are trying to re-energize the Green Party. So the Green Party trying to infiltrate the DNC, I mean, it's like a little kid trying to take on like an older kid, and the little kids is pushing him back with his hands, like, what are you doing? Like, you are stupid, you are weak. The Green Party doesn't have what it takes, and with my coverage of them, especially leading up to now, not only is it a sinking ship, it's at the bottom of the ocean with all the fish swimming right through it. At this point, unless the Green Party is prepared to fundamentally change the way it runs things, and unless the Green Party actually somehow, out of the blue, is able to get more than 5% in the general election when the voting's all done, then we can have a different conversation. Then I'll backtrack my statements from this video. Otherwise, no, the Green Party will never be able to do this. That is a monumental task that is too impossible, and they'll be too afraid to actually take that initiative and charge.
Go ahead, Carlito.
Isn't that the issue that they have with like Jesse Ventura? I think, when we were hearing he was trying to get into Green Party.
Yeah, he was trying. Yeah, he was trying to get into the he was trying to get the nomination, but it was a mess because here's a guy with a lot of popularity, and we talked about this before, where he could have easily changed the political landscape that we have right now. But they worked hard to get Howie Hawkins. You know, he ran as a governor. I voted for him actually when he ran for governor for New York City or for New York. From what I understand, he ran like 20 something times or more, and he has never won an election. Wow. So they made this guy the nominee, and really they pulled a Hillary Clinton where they just like moved everybody out the way and put him to the forefront.
That was my main point that I was going to bring up, was that if you're a serious party that's trying to make moves and trying to win, and you have somebody that's going to come over like a Jesse Ventura, who's been a mayor, who's been a governor, who has experience working with both sides, who is unapologetically honest, who's progressive on many, many issues, and to have him come, it's almost like if LeBron James comes to your intramural basketball team and he goes, "Hey guys, can I play with you guys?" And you're like, "No, we're good. We got Gabe over here. Gabe's gonna hold down the fort." And Gabe's 5'6". You know, it's not really the right thing.
And I've seen you play basketball too.
So you know, on that point, if you're really serious and you have a serious candidate that comes to you like that, you have to move mountains to get him in and to give him the support that he needs, versus Howie Hawkins, who has good policies. I've heard his policies. I like the guy as a person, but I mean, is he gonna win? Is he gonna even make a splash? Jesse Ventura is gonna get 5%. He's gonna get 10%. Can he get them to maybe even win? As crazy as it sounds, with two candidates that people are like, the biggest block vote. And if Jesse gets out a good percentage of those people that don't vote, you know, anything's possible. But the point is, they shot themselves in the foot when they didn't even consider him for someone else who has zero chance to get 5%.
I think if they got him in the debates, he would be able to really make some noise. Yeah. I think once you put him up next to, you know, Trump and to Biden, you know, both people that, you know, they can't speak very well, I think we would definitely see a big change in the landscape.
Well, he also mentioned that I think he mentioned some type of like Fox News polls where he was polling like an 8% without even being in the race. But, you know, it's also a good point that, like, you know what, something that Kit brought up, like in the Latino community and the African-American community, people don't even know the Green Party exists, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Really want to, like, as we know, like, you know, Latino community is the fastest minority growing coming. Like we are coming, you know, people are getting of age to get a vote. We know the African-American community is strong. And if you don't want to bring those community in to know about your party, then we don't take them serious. Like there's a lot of people there that don't even know they exist. So you think like, hey, maybe the way of us trying to get in there and try to get to know is to bring in more minorities from every community to be able to tell us, hey, we have another party and this is what we could do for you. So totally agree with a lot of the points. You know, that.
Yeah, to your point, John, I mean, you know, we're political junkies, right? And even we rarely ever hear about the Green Party. What maybe once every 4 years? I mean, that's we don't talk about them. We don't hear about them. They're essentially non-existent to us. So how do you ever plan to run any kind of legitimate campaign if we never ever hear about you? We don't know what you're doing when there's not a big election coming up. We barely even know what you're doing when there is a big election coming up. Yeah, so, I mean, you know, you're non-existent to us. To Kit's point earlier about, you know, Justice Democrats, brand new Congress, our revolution, you know, we've had a lot of like attempts, I guess, at bringing in, you know, infiltration from the inside. I don't know how we could have some kind of Captain America power and combine all these powers and all this effort. Because we have had some success, but I think it's going to take some kind of combination between, you know, the Green Party and all those other organizations to come together somehow. I don't know how. But once we can combine those powers, I think we can have a real influence on the Democratic Party.
Right now, the Greens and Libertarians got very lucky with the Supreme Court ruling here in our state where, you know, they don't have to get a certain amount of ballot signatures. So now they're secure themselves on the ballot and Illinois voters can vote for them. Before then, the Illinois Greens and Libertarians, and I don't know what they have to deal with in your state specifically. If you're running for office before COVID hit us, Illinois Greens and Libertarians had to get 25,000 signatures plus another 25,000 signatures because Illinois, like if one thing's messed up on the signatures to be on the ballot, gets removed. So Illinois Libertarians and Greens have to work very hard. Whether if you're Democrat or Republican, you need at least the bare minimum of 5,000 signatures to be on the ballot. So there's a whole system put in place, and it's a monumental task. And you must ask yourself, if you're going to volunteer, you're asking the average person to volunteer for the Greens and Libertarians, people will walk away from that. And plus, when the Greens in Illinois actually had a chance to be recognized as a party, this was in 2010, where they actually had enough to be recognized in our state, they dropped the ball, and now they have to go through that process all over again.
Wow.
All over again, even though in Illinois. So, and look, anyone can fact check this. In Illinois, at one point, the Green Party, Illinois Green Party, was recognized in our state, and then they dropped the ball. They could have capitalized on that momentum. Still not enough. Now, in California, there was one person named Keith Mija, who was able to at least get 26% of the vote during the last, I think, midterm election cycle. So there's a rare success story, but even then, the Greens don't capitalize it. And then also bring up another example, too. In 2016, Dr. Jill Stein actually came to the city of Chicago and walked through some of the inner city areas on the west side of Chicago, through some very impoverished communities here. And this was the first time the African-American community actually saw a presidential candidate from a political party actually reach out and actually, talk to the people there. And this was in 2016 alone. This is when I was just getting involved. I didn't know anything about radio, television, YouTube, or nothing, but she was there. I had actually a chance to actually talk to her, but I mean, even then, it still wasn't enough. And the thing is,
so Kit, we got the people, the Nick Brunner movement, where he's trying to start a new party, where it's called the Movement for the People's Party. That's right. And they're having a convention where they're featuring Nina Turner, Cornel West, Jimmy Dore, and other people. You think there's potential there?
Yes and no. It depends on what exactly the Movement for the People's Party will do to capitalize. And that means they have to be aggressive. They have to be unapologetic. That means they have to be prepared to be treated like the villain, like Ralph Nader has been by the Democrats, even though now the Democrats have been applauding George W. Bush, especially after a recent funeral of a DNC establishment leader, all right? So, I mean, when the Democrats are applauding George Bush, but at the same time blaming Ralph Nader for George Bush, the Movement for People's Party is going to have to take that hit. They're also going to have to take that hit from corporate media. And if they're incapable of building that infrastructure and being aggressive, calling out the hypocrisy of Republicans, and yes, dare I say it, even the somewhat ally of the DNC, they have to be aggressive. They have to say that we are a better voice. We are a better party. We're talking about the issues. We have the infrastructure. And I hope that they realize that, to be a third party, you're going to have to climb the mountains of not only the limitations of what a third party has to deal with at the federal level, but also at the state level, at the county level, at the city level. And they need to be building that infrastructure. They need to plan and mobilize and organize to have that ability to do that and to take those hits and also go into communities that have never seen interaction from their politicians. That means they have to go into African-American communities and Latino communities and build that alliance up and convince those voters, those constituents, that if you roll with us, we will help you. If you help us build, we can take out these corrupt politicians that have been hurting you for decades. And that's going to be they have to build the infrastructure. Infrastructure is key. Otherwise, you could speak a good game, you could speak a good message, you can have good talking points, and you can have some heavy hitters speaking for you at your convention. But if you do not put in the groundwork, then you are nothing. Now, case in point, let's look at the DSA, for example. I know there's a lot of criticism towards DSA. I think they have the potential to really be a third party. However, they're a political organization and they're building infrastructure. And I think they might be able to do it. It's just, again, they have to deal with that same propaganda. They have to deal with that same issue. And I think in regards to building infrastructure, they can do it. It's just, for them, it will be a longer road because, again, democratic socialism has a stigma in corporate media and, of course, amongst American voters. So, I mean, I have to see what Movement for People's Party can do. So it's a yes and no answer. Yes, they can. The momentum is there, but if they don't have the infrastructure, then, So
I actually thought the one group, the case said the one group that I think could infiltrate is DSA, because, with Bernie using the democratic socialist, tag, it has a lot of stigma. And that's why it's a hard road for them to, to use socialists, but as far as infiltrating the Democratic Party, I think they're the best group to do it because, like you mentioned, AOC and the rest of the squad that believe in democratic socialism, they could just run under the Democratic Party, but bring those ideas with them, and they hopefully become, take over the Progressive Caucus, become a non-evil Tea Party per se, and just throw a wrench into everything.
And to answer,
I'm glad you brought that up. Real quick, and then I'll go to you, Gabe. I'm glad you brought that up because it seems like that's what DSA is doing right now. That's what they're doing. They're running people to run as Democrats. Go ahead, Gabe.
I was going to say that based off of John's question, I think it is going to take some power chess move. Like we saw how the Democrats united to beat Bernie. It would take an equivalent counter chess move to start a real third party. It would be like you get the squad, you get everyone that is of the mindset of the People's Party, and in one fell swoop, they all announce, hey, we are now starting this third party because where the Democrats have gone is not the party of the working people anymore. It hasn't been for years, and we're all doing this together. Active senators, active House members, active local members. It would have to take the ultimate chess move at once to really ever have a chance of making a splash because you're fighting uphill. It wouldn't happen otherwise.
And for 2022, this is going to be the midterm election cycle. It's important to point out that voter engagement during midterms is historically low. People don't turn out to vote during midterms. And if anything right now, DSA, which has a lot of wins under its belt, would have to step up its game, but of course they have to run under a Democratic Party. This is where they would have to really get involved and actually try and win some key states at the state level, at the federal level. And same thing for Movements for People Party. If they're really dead serious about this, they're going to need to pick a race that they can probably get involved in, or either that lend their support. Same thing for the Greens. And look, I'm also include the Libertarians because I believe in third parties. They're going to have to step up their game too, but unless their volunteers and supporters are willing to put in the groundwork, and if the leadership is prepared to take, charge and lead and fight, then we could talk as much as they can. But if these organizations fail to show up, especially to voters, the average voter, the citizen who's not politically engaged, then it's all just one big pipe dream. And people respond to wins, and people respond to winners and strengths, and that's human perspective 101. I don't care who you worship or the color of your skin. I mean, if you don't show me that you're a winner, then why am I going to fight for you?
And what better race would be AOC primary Chuck?
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah. Because I like what you said, Kid. What if the third parties, they declare, okay, this is our Green Party nominee running within the Democratic Party. I think that would be interesting. The DSA already does it. If the Libertarian did it on the Republican side, I think that would be interesting. But I think this is a topic that we could definitely talk a lot longer. But we're going to move on to the next topic. This is a topic I've been contemplating this issue for a while, and I keep hearing mainstream media. I'm thinking, is there a way we can rebrand that name, mainstream media, to something that reflects who they really are, and normal people who aren't political junkies like us, when they hear this term, they automatically know that media is not their friend and they're actually the enemy. I thought about this because definitely it was the media who was basically a super PAC for Biden after Bernie won Nevada and they were going into South Carolina. The media just went all in on Bernie, and I was thinking, man, I wish that the people watching CNN, MSNBC, all these shows knew that this is the 1% media. They are catering to these are millionaires catering to billionaires. And so I'm thinking, is 1% media a good name, or maybe I'm off base? So Carlito, I want you to jump in on this.
Yeah, when you first said, post to us rebranding mainstream media without context, like for why, for who, we already know who it is. We know what they are. If it's rebranding for us, we know this. But if you're talking about rebranding it for the people that are not PJs, political junkies, yeah, that could be something good. I just can't think of a good name. I thought maybe, calling them a distraction media, or thinking back of that the Bernie blackout, call it blackout media.
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
it's to find, it's marketing, find something catchy that it could be blasted,
Exactly.
hashtags, everything like that. So that's something for, some marketing expert people to come up with. But I think it could be good, because I've seen a lot of disillusion from people in the mainstream media over time.
Yeah.
And that's why, Kids Show, is blowing up, and, and Nico, and then we're starting to do this in is because people are seeing that they're not getting all the facts. They're seeing that there's some kind of agenda going on that's preventing them from seeing all the truth. So I think
Exactly.
it could be a good time to, if we have the right messaging, to kind of get people, kind of see that they're not for them, that is
Yeah.
millionaires catering to billionaires.
Exactly, Gabe, and then I'm going to go to Kit. Go ahead, Gabe.
So I'm not crazy about the 1% media. I like corporate media because I think it calls it what it is these are corporations that are giving you the news. That's a popular one. While going through this exercise, the other one I thought it was like sponsored media, because what it is you have media that over the last 2 decades or more has gone from trying to just give news to now giving biased news and trying to get ratings and trying to get views and trying to get clicks. And I think calling it the sponsored media takes that. It's like sponsored by who? Sponsored by Raytheon, sponsored by United Healthcare, sponsored by whoever. So it's the sponsored news. So I thought that was a cool one. Our beloved dictator Trump, with all his flaws and his horribleness, he hit the nail on the head with fake news. I mean, that was like such a critical one where he's abused it to the point where everything is fake news. But what happens is that they could give the truth about Trump 99% of the time. If they slip up once, it's automatically the fake news, and that hits. And I think, there's one thing that guy is good at is marketing. And in that case, the fake news was like a tremendous brand. And it sucks that brand was taken by him, because a lot of times it is fake. Even when you say Medicare for all costs more than the current system, that's fake news. It's things like that. When you say people will get lazy if you give them too much stuff, it's fake news. Is all these things that are fake news given to us by our corporate media, or the mainstream media, or the quote unquote left media. So that's all I got there.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, you guys really hit every single point. I think it's important that I do bring this up. If, in case anyone has the time, sit down and watch the movie from 2018 called Vice, because there's some great scenes in there where they're talking to average people about names and how they feel about certain issues here and there. And the thing is, who ran with mainstream media and fake news, and then who carried that message along? It was from the GOP. They called, MSNBC and CNN mainstream media, and then you had Trump infamously calling CNN and BuzzFeed and all the other places fake news. They're fake news. And then it was the media itself that ran with mainstream media and fake news, because they'll go along with it because it clicks, it resonates. And we are still dealing with the aftermath of the decline of television, where now we're seeing these same media outlets now come into our backyard, into YouTube, onto social media, still running their agenda, and they're still able to have a lot of viewers watch their stuff. Now, of course, I think a lot of Americans are very cynical towards media because everyone's been lied to enough. So we still have to run with the notion of the name that this is corporate media, and we have to keep on repeating that. Calling it 1% news, it doesn't catch on. If we say, hey, look, this is corporate media, and it's a fact that it's corporate media because the media is owned by corporations, and explain to them why, the media has this set agenda, because it's the corporations that own them that give them that agenda. So it's all about really hearts and minds, and telling people, average viewers, that, hey, look, when you're sitting down watching MSNBC or Fox News, you're just watching corporate media, and they're just spitting out corporate propaganda by the political establishment. And of course, the politicians are in on the game too, because they want to use sharp words, good talking points, good catchphrases that will then resonate to viewers because it's all a game. It's all one big game. It's all one big club. And we just ain't in it.
Exactly. Yeah.
See, I one comment. When Kid mentioned the messaging, there's a book that I read. I think it was called "Think of an Elephant," where I read that a lot of this is not an accident. We know it, at least, especially from the Republican side, how once there's a talking point that comes out, everybody says it. Everybody all across the party, all the pundits that come on that represent that party, and even some that are independent. And one thing that I learned is that even for think tanks, they actually set up studios, or they've been setting up since. And this book was a little old. They said that since the 80s, they were setting up studios inside the think tank. So as soon as something is trending on the news will call them up. They already have a studio set up where they could do interviews right from there. They had everything set up so they could push their messaging and their agenda, and that's something that we kind of need to adopt if we want to push anything on our side. It has to be something that's a concerted effort to make it stick.
We shouldn't get disheartened by the power of corporate media, because the thing is, they are showing their weakness. And here in Chicago, they're local affiliates, and this is sad, but I mean, it's somewhat showing the waning power of corporate media. A lot of the studios here in Chicago are shutting down and laying people off. And the thing is, them trying to come onto the YouTube model, it's like an old man trying to become hip again, learning the skateboard. It's just it ain't gonna happen. It ain't gonna. Now there might be some rare example here and there, so nothing against a senior citizen that still skateboard, but they're not the monoliths. They're not invincible. They can be beaten. It's just it's going to take time, and we're seeing them fall apart.
Gotcha. Who is a bad Democrat you saw lose their race, or who would you like to lose?
I got two. One that I'll touch on quick, and then one that I'll go more detail. The one is coming up on Tuesday. The bad Democrat that I will jump for joy if she loses is Debbie Wasserman Schultz in Broward.
That's a good one.
She single-handedly did the most damage. Bernie Sanders campaign, I think even more than Hillary. I think with the rigging of the base the way that she did, and what happened with her in her race versus Tim Canova, where the ballots were destroyed. She is the quintessential bad Democrat, and Jen Perelman's running against her on Tuesday, and I'm sending her all the good vibes in the universe and all the prayers, whatever God you believe in. I hope you send a prayer and good vibes for Jen, because we want her to take out Debbie. The other one is in my personal congressional district here in Florida 27 is Donna Shalala. She was a former president of University of Miami. She's been on the board of United Health for many years and made $5 million in that role. She was on the board for Lennar Homes, who was a big instrumental company in the 2008 housing crisis for their overbuilding. She was a member of the Clinton cabinet. She was just she is, again, like Debbie Wasserman Schultz. She's the standard corporate Democrat that has gone through the ranks, enriched herself through this, and it would make she also is very much like a just somebody who doesn't feel entitled, so doesn't feel like they have to give time to their primary challengers. When there was the big primary last time in 2018 when she won, she didn't even show up to the debates. Very similar to Joe Crowley, very similar to Nancy Pelosi. There were 5 candidates, and she wasn't even an incumbent, and she still didn't show up to the debates. And that was a debate that I was there in person. It just showed. And then the fact that we as progressives couldn't get up each other's way. There were 3-4 people that were more progressive than her at different levels, and all 4 of them ran, and all 4 of them split the vote, and she won, I think, with 30% of the vote. And if all those other candidates would have combined their forces a few days before the election, or even a few weeks before the election, we easily could have won that election. It wouldn't have even but instead of that, we end up with a really bad Democrat that I wish would have lost this time around, but they canceled the primary due to coronavirus, and there weren't any credible, really contenders this time anyway. So it's just a shame, and hopefully we can get her out in 2022.
I have Representative Sherry Bustos, and basically she's the head of the DCCC. Now, remember the DNC, going back to 2016, they're supposed to remain neutral. And even this time around in 2020, they're supposed to remain neutral and not tip the scales in anyone's favor. The DCCC is supposed to do the same thing in the primary, but she just came out and said the quiet part out loud. She basically threatened anybody, any operative that worked with a challenger, that operative would be on a black list. And so basically what that means is if you have progressive operatives, that this is their career, this is how they make money. And even though they're a progressive operative where they are trying to get like the Bernies, the AOCs of the world, they want to work for those people and get them elected, they still might occasionally work with somebody like an Elizabeth Warren, which they think that is progressive, but you know, that's a whole different conversation. But so she threatened to put them on a blacklist. So this is basically her waving the flag saying, hey, we're going to come after these challengers and make sure they have a hard time, because it is something to have talent. If you get a good campaign manager, as Jamal Bowman, he saw with his campaign manager, they were able to get a lot accomplished. It's hard to find good talent out there. So I think if you're going to come for us, we're going to come for you. And I hope that someone challenges her and we get a more progressive person.
Yeah, the person that I wanted to lose really bad recently, and they actually did, it was Vernon Jones here in Georgia State House, in my district. This is somebody that over the years, he just basically went wherever the political winds were blowing. You know, he voted for Bush in 2004, gave him money. Then he voted for Obama in 2008. Then he was against same-sex marriage, but then at the same time, then he co-sponsored a bill to remove the Confederate flag from the Georgia state flag. So he was like all over the place. And in one of his campaign, though, he photoshopped a picture of him and Obama together and sent out mailers with that, and you know, got them in trouble. But what he made the biggest news recently was because he actually endorsed Trump for president in his re-election campaign, and he got so much pushback that he decided, you know what, I'm quitting. But then he said, no, never mind, I'm going to come back. But then he saw the amount of support for the opposing candidate that he ended up, like right before the election, the primary, he ended up pulling out. But he was going to get trounced. He was going to get destroyed because after everything he was doing, he always did something a little bit good that made people think like, all right, maybe he's not that bad. Let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater. But once he started talking about how Trump was great for the economy and great for African Americans, all of his constituents were like, yeah, you're done. You're done. Get out of here. And then he basically, instead of being embarrassed, he dropped out like right at the end, and you know, he's out of here right now.
So my pick is, again, like Carlito, someone who lost that I'm really glad is Ruben Diaz Sr. So for those who don't know him, he was running for New York's 15th, and he's the dad of the Bronx Borough President, Ruben Diaz. And he's essentially our Bronx Puerto Riqueño version of Trump, seriously. I mean, he's an extremely conservative Christian. He caucuses with the Republicans. He supports the Republicans. He's anti-abortion, homophobic. He's even said that he's undecided on voting between Trump and Biden. And I don't mean that he's undecided because he's coming from the left, obviously.
Wow.
So, yeah, he's a huge danger to this party. I mean, he's the perfect example of why the vote blue no matter who is never the right approach, because he's extremely popular in the Bronx, in all of the Bronx. And, you know, if we didn't have better people running against him, he might be representing us right now. But thankfully, he lost that race. I really wish Sarmelis Lopez would have won, but, you know, I'll take anybody besides the Puerto Rican version of Trump, especially because we have Jamal Bowman and AOC still representing us. That would have looked really terrible to have somebody on the exact opposite end of the scale, you know, representing us.
I got the best one for you guys because it's Illinois, Chicago politics to the core. And I think it flew under a lot of people's radar. So I was just like, just keeping quiet.
I know what you're going to say
about the whole thing. Just like, because like saving the best for last. So again, I'm very happy that this person has lost. So let me introduce you guys, this panel, and all of Case Studies viewers and subscribers. This wonderful person called Dan Lipinski. Let's talk about Lipinski.
Oh, Dan Lipinski. Boy.
Oh, no. We're not done yet with Dan Lipinski. First, in order to start, we must start from the beginning. 1983 to 2005, his old man, Bill Lipinski, held the office of United States House Representative for the 3rd Illinois Congressional District from January 3rd, 1983 to January 3rd of 2005. So like standard Illinois politics, we have perfected feudalism, and it was inherited by his son, Dan Lipinski. Now, just one real quick about Bill Lipinski. In 2007, after leaving the House of Representatives, he opened his first one-man lobbying firm and was paid $4 million by clients with business before the House Transportation Committee and so many other organizations. Again, this is a corrupt neoliberal family, so standard to Illinois politics, Dan Lipinski inherits the seat. And Dan Lipinski, again, part of the Madigan machine, part of the establishment machine, but you would think that because he's a Democrat, he would be with the, vote blue no matter who people. Try and true. No. This man, for most of his political career, while he is Democrat, has voted with the Republican Party. He has stood against. Let's talk about what he stands on the issues and what he did stand on the issues for. He was against Lipinski opposed the recognition of same-sex marriage until the Supreme Court legalized it nationwide. He supported the Defense of Marriage Act. He was also in favor of Don't Ask, Don't Tell. Now, Dan Lipinski says he personally opposes same-sex marriages, but supports the status quo because it's been declared law of the land. Okay, and in 2016, he supported the Republican version of the Religious Freedom of Restoration Act. He's also again he's the only Democrat in Congress to oppose the Patent Protection and Affordable Care Act, also known as Obamacare, also known as Romney Care, which came out of the Heritage Foundation. So again, this guy is also very conservative. And in 2018, he ran. Marie Newman ran against him, but there was election fraud that happened, and somehow 6,000 of Marie Newman's votes just disappeared like that. In fact, I saw TYT actually cover it when Jimmy Dore was still on TYT, and I'll never forget the look on Cenk Uyghur's face when all of a sudden he looked at the board and said, "Wait a minute, Marie Newman lost 6,000 votes," and Jimmy Dore just looked at him and said, "Yeah, that's Chicago," and that didn't even faze Jimmy, and Jimmy's from Chicago, so already he wasn't scared about that at all. And then going into the general election of the 2018 midterm election cycle, Dan Lipinski ran up against Arthur Jones, a diehard Nazi under the Republican Party, and the Illinois Republican Party pushed away and said, no, he's not our guy. We didn't want anyone to run this race. Arthur Jones got 57,885 votes to Dan Lipinski's 163,000 votes. And now I am proud to say that Dan Lipinski has been defeated by Marie Newman.
Nice.
During the midterm here in Illinois in March. Now, the thing is, there's some problems with how the primary happened here in Illinois. Again, because of COVID-19, it was very difficult for voters to turn out. Marie Newman won with 48,357 votes, 47.12% of the votes altogether, to Dan Lipinski's 45,905 votes, 44.73% of the vote. Again, it was a razor-thin win, but Marie Newman came out as the winner. As it stands right now, there's no Republican challenger. Marie Newman might have this in the bag. She got a lot of support from progressives, even though I want to make it very clear that the DCCC was still in support of Dan Lipinski until the very, 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 very end, when everyone, especially a lot of women voters and women groups, were saying like, well, wait, DCCC, why are you supporting Dan Lipinski? He's against women's reproductive rights. He's against LGBTQ rights. Well, why are we supporting this guy? And the DCCC was shamed into slowly backpedaling away from Dan Lipinski because of his ties to the Illinois Democratic machine. Now, with Marie Newman,
Nancy Pelosi also endorsed him, right?
I would believe so. I'd have to look for that.
Okay.
I don't want to give out any kind of fake statements or anything like that.
Yeah, go ahead, though.
But as a final note for Marie Newman, I'm glad that she won. And I'm going to be keeping an eye on her because, I think she has potential. I hope that she doesn't get co-opted by the establishment. She has a bright future, and there's one certain issue that I do want her to address, and that is the industrial facilities on the south side of Chicago, especially by McKinley Park, where there was an asphalt plant that was built in the community, and no one told the residents that it was going to be built. And here it is in the Illinois 3rd Congressional District. No one in the state of Illinois, Cook County, City of Chicago, told the people that this asphalt plant was going to be built. It is running, the Matt asphalt plant is running without a permit. And this asphalt plant is built next to a 70-acre public green space, right next to homes, apartments, condos, 2 schools, and an open public pool and a community center. And the thing is, there's heavy truck traffic there. They're not putting in safety requirements over the asphalt material, and asphalt plants release out particulate matter, which impacts the heart, lungs, and brains, and it impacts senior citizens and young people. And with COVID-19, you would think that the city of Illinois, the city of Chicago, state of Illinois would shut it down. And I hope that Marie Newman, should she get into Congress, will use congressional power to shut this asphalt plant down, because there are numerous other industrial facilities on the south and west side neighborhoods of Chicago impacting African-American and Latino communities, and they are running there, impacting the communities, polluting the air, water, and soil. So I hope Marie Newman will be a fighter, especially dealing with the mad asphalt plant, because that's a story we covered here at Hardlands Media, and it's all good. So I'm glad that Dan Lipinski is gone. He deserves to be gone, and I wish all the best for Marie Newman. I hope that she just doesn't become another standard politician.
Yeah, let's hope not another Colin Orred. Go ahead, John.
And Pelosi, just to confirm, Pelosi did endorse him.
Thank you. Wow. Hey, well done, Nancy. I thought you were for women, Nancy.
And Ro Khanna, our future Speaker of the House, he endorsed Marie Newman. So
good. What can Democrats do to fight back against the post office rollbacks?
In my view, I mean, as bad as this issue is, which I know we're going to get into in depth, I don't really think that there is much they can do. They don't have any power to really change anything right now. All they can really do is be obstructionists to like Republican created laws, but that's hard to do when the Republicans aren't even present. So that's true. They can kick and scream, you know, they can get on the media, but even then, if they just kick and scream, all they're going to look like is whiners to the media and to everyone else who doesn't support our policy. So, you know, it hasn't ever really worked in the past when they just go on the media and whine. I do believe the word needs to get out there, because this is a huge treasonous affront to our democracy. But aside from getting out there and spreading the word, I don't really know that there's much tangible that they can do to make a difference.
Let me push back a little bit on you, Izzy, because I feel like it's bad optics, right? So right now we got the Republicans and the Democrats taking hiatus until Labor Day, I believe it is. And they are both just going on vacation. So I hear you saying about the whining part. If we could get some strong Democratic leadership to be on the TV, if they could say something like Trump is decreasing the amount of machines. I heard there was a machine that did the work of 35 post workers who doing the sorting of the mail. They're decreasing those machines and taking those out. Let's do a big jobs program to get people to work. We're going to put this amount of money up, put people back to work. I think maybe we could pull not those too far gone Trumps, but maybe some Republicans that might be in the middle. If we could say, hey, we're going to give you a job and you're going to be a patriot because you're going to be counting the votes or something like that, I think that could be a good marketing tool. What do you think, Gabe?
I think I'm in the Izzy camp. I don't really have much more to add. I'm very down. I think John talked about it last week that there was going to be a master chess move coming regarding the post office, and we've seen that, and it's a really bad move where it's just in a bad place right now.
Yeah, well, let's describe what happened. You know, they had what they call a Friday Night Massacre, where they got rid of a lot of the top executives in the post office, throwing away a lot of scanning machines and sorting machines. That, you know, for that reason alone, I think at least trying to push for a job program, like Kay said, it will be a win-win, because one, people are unemployed right now. A lot of people need jobs, and then even if you're a too far gone Republican, you want to work. You want to, you know, you're suffering too. So that could at least entice them to do it. But also, you know, they're trying to steal the election right now. You know, they already sent notice to like 46 different states that is going to be held back, you know, or there's going to be delays. And they already said if the mail-in ballots come in after the election, they're not going to count it, even if they were postmarked before. So this is really necessary. And even if it seems like it's, you know, nothing's going to happen, we got to try, man. We got to do whatever, man.
Going on recess just because the Senate is going on recess is not showing people that this is that in this house we fight for the people. Right?
Yeah, and this is something that, you know, I think it makes a big impact, because even if you don't get something great passed, just having those votes, having people's names to it, if it's a really good bill that's going to help the post office, help people get jobs, and help secure the election, you just got to fight for it and then put people's names on their votes and then have as many votes as it takes. Because, I mean, we see how the Republicans did it. They had 27 votes on Obamacare. I don't know how many they did on Benghazi. They know nothing was going to happen, but they just pounded to the point that it filtered through the media, and people were thinking that, man, this Benghazi thing, something really super shady happened there. Even if they don't know the details, they just hear it. So if they think that, you know, the election is in trouble, we need people to work, you know, it's something that it could resonate if it's pushed correctly. And, you know, the whole thing I said about framing and messaging, they always do a lot of polls and everything. They could figure out what messages well and just push that. You know, they're not stupid, but, you know, they just, I don't know what they have to lose from this, because it's not like it's going to help Trump. So I don't get it. You know, just push it. Don't go on recess. Just keep hammering it.
Oh, how to save the post office with a Democratic Party that has no spine. I think you guys brought up a lot of good points. Again, because, you know, I don't want to repeat everything that's said, but like the DNC, if they actually care about this, if they actually did, they would be more aggressive. They wouldn't be taking this well-deserved break they have. So, you know, because they won't be back in session until after September 8th. So, great Democratic Party. Dropped the ball, but you would think you would be more aggressive. I mean, this is something you care about. You want to stop the bad, scary orange man, right? And voting in through mail might be the only way people can do that as it stands right now. But otherwise, you know, Biden will lose this if the DNC actually doesn't push forward. Now, look, I'm not voting for Biden. But if the Democrats really care about this, it almost seems like from a sitcom, almost like if you really care about this, you'd be fighting, and the Democrats like, I don't want to, and that's the Democrat notion. I mean, they're just assuming that people are going to turn out to vote, and they're relying on a strategy to get Republican voters to vote for them. That didn't work in 2016, and I don't think it's going to work now. And as for progressives and independents, I mean, they're telling people to fall in line and vote, and maybe in theory that will work. But there is a good chance Trump can walk away with this because the Democrats are unwilling to fight. But we have to remember this is the same Democratic Party that willingly took part in 2016 and the 2020 primaries to help out the establishment candidates to commit election fraud and to deny Bernie Sanders, progressives, and independents the ability to get their issues on the platform. This is the same DNC that pushed away progressive issues during that wonderful task force that Biden and Bernie put together. So, I mean, we're asking the Democrats to do something that they've never done before, and that is fight back. And gone are the days of FDR and JF Kennedy Democrats actually fighting back. All right, and it just if they did care, if Nancy and Chuck cared, they would have fought more. They would have fought more for this, but obviously they don't because they're too old and too tired.
And here's, you know, the sad thing about the spineless Democrats that Kit just said is we've seen them lose elections that they really won. We saw in 2000 with Al Gore, they really won Florida, but they just didn't fight. And then when it came to the Supreme Court justice that Obama needed to confirm, they just let the Senate just go ahead and not bring their candidate forward. And it's just like Democrats just get pushed over by Republicans all the time. And unfortunately, it's really, really sad to say that if it happens that they steal the election based off of not counting votes that are postmarked before but counted after and all that, the Democrats aren't going to fight. They're not. And
they're not. They're just going to blame. They're going to blame the youth, the Bernie people. And they're just going to say, like, you know, all the Latino, African-American, and the youth didn't come out, and Bernie people were just mad, and that's why they didn't vote for us.
This is, you know, the post office, this is the really good opportunity also for the Democrats, because we know how Republicans always saying about government sucks and big government and everything government is horrible. This is one of the institutions that actually works for everybody. I mean, this is one of the few institutions that actually in the Constitution. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So this is, you know, if they're always talking about, well, they don't make money. We know it's a service. It's not a business. It's not supposed to make money. I mean, how much money does the fire department make or the police department?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And and they talk about the market. All these rural voters, if they didn't have the post office, they will have nothing. Because if it was about making money, FedEx, UPS, they will not service them at all.
Yeah.
Like what they call it, the last mile problem.
Yeah.
They have all their shipping and fleets of buses and trucks, but when it comes to the last mile, they let the post office do it. I know there's some regulations regarding that as far as putting stuff in mailboxes. But when it comes to getting to rural areas, they just don't do it because it doesn't make money. There are places in Alaska where the post office has to fly planes to get mail to. FedEx is not going to do that for 3 people.
Yeah.
It's a money loser.
Exactly. They actually pay the post office to do that last mile. I know exactly what you're talking about, to do the last mile for them on their behalf, which is another way that the USPS makes money. But definitely, you have any last things to say on this?
I mean, I agree. The Democrats, I'm not trying to give them a pass. I just don't know legislatively how much they can really do about this, but they do not deserve a pass on any of this. And I agree that they should try whatever they can.
I also want to add in too that the post office provides an important service because at one point, and it can still be used as a public bank to help out struggling communities and people who need it. Also, let's remember there's a lot of senior citizens that use the post office to pay their bills. Some of them don't have internet. We're dealing with communities that don't have internet to pay the bills. So think about it. We're dealing with a housing and eviction crisis too. There are senior citizens who may not be able to pay their bills, and all of a sudden, oh no, they're at risk of being kicked out of their homes or apartments because they couldn't get their bills mailed in time. And so this is a frightening issue. And if the Democrats cared, if they wanted to earn hearts and minds, they would have been more aggressive about this. They would have been more hard about this, and they would not have gone on recess. And now Americans, innocent people, are left holding the bag because we have two political parties that only care for their number one constituents, not us voters, but big banks, corporations, Wall Street executives, and lobby groups. All the while, everyone else is out on the streets. And I'm surprised I'm surprised Americans are actually taking this. Maybe, Jimmy Dore's right. We are the children of abusive alcoholic parents, and we don't like being told about it. And I'm willing to accept the fact that yes, our government doesn't care, and I don't owe them a damn thing, and they're not as tough as I once thought they were, and they don't deserve my respect or vote. So I mean, if they're not going to fight for me, why should I recognize them? Why should I fight for them?
Yeah, totally. I totally agree with you. Totally agree with you on that one. So usually we do a think tank, but we went on so long. We're gonna save the think tank for this week for next week. But I'm gonna leave you guys with one last thing. How do we make voters smarter? Right. So we talked about the Speaker of the House in the first segment. The Speaker of the House is the third in succession to the presidency. So if something happens to the president, the vice president becomes president. Now, what happens if the vice president dies? What happens there? Well, the Speaker of the House is the third person in succession. And here you have the other. So we have the president pro tempore of the Senate, which is Chuck Grassley. So guys, imagine if Chuck Grassley, something happened to Trump, something happened to Mike Pence, something happened to Nancy Pelosi. This guy is next. Chuck Grassley. Then if something happened to Chuck, this guy is next. Mike Pompeo. Oof. Oh my goodness. Imagine who's next. Steve Mnuchin.
What
is next? Then
it gets worse.
And then it just keeps getting worse and worse after that. I want to thank Kit Cabello for coming out to the Political Junkies. And please go ahead and let the people know where we can find you.
All right. Well, there's going to be a couple of major updates. So again, as it stands right now, here's where you can find us. Because we are updating our website. It's going to be phenomenal. Nice. It's going to be incredible. It's going to be huge. Nice. Okay, so right now our current website is www.hardlensmedia.com. And in that website, there's a link to our new YouTube channel, HLM and Chicago Corner. Now, of course, our old YouTube channel, Hard Lens Media, is still up and available. This is the one that YouTube put its jackboot on our neck. But in our final video there's a link to our new YouTube channel. My colleague Daniel Lupker is speaking to the people. So in case you get misled, or it's go to our older YouTube channel that has 23,000 subscribers, but YouTube is censoring us and it basically demonetized and limited all our content. The final video up there's a link in the description box to our new YouTube channel. It's called HLM, basically Hard Lens Media, but HLM. And then there's Chicago Corner. We're also on Rockfin, Hard Lens Media. You can follow Hard Lens Media on Twitter, Instagram, and on Facebook. We're also on Spreaker, Spotify, iTunes, iHeartRadio. And right now we are looking to expand further. We also have another YouTube channel called Chicago Reacts. Again, our website is called Hard Lens Media, HARDLENSmedia.com. I have to say it because people think I'm saying the Heartland. No, it's Hard Lens, HARDLENSmedia.com, hardlensmedia.com. Please help us out. We are basically, what's happening in Chicago is a lot of studios and outlets are firing people and boarding up their shops. And we might be, all we have to do is survive this. We might be the true last independent media outlets in the city of Chicago. On the one hand, hey, we're taking over. On the other hand, we need support because there's a lack of media presence, journalism, investigative journalism, on the ground work, and we are limited. We are running on a skeleton crew because we used to go out there on the ground, but because of certain things, we're being limited. But if we survive this, we could be a bastion of real hope and change in the state of Illinois, in the city of Chicago, and we're asking people to help us out. We're on Rockfin, HLM, YouTube, Chicago Corner on YouTube, hardlensmedia.com, HARDLENSmedia.com. Please support us out and help us fight for a better future in this city because there's no one else like us in Chicago.
Awesome. So I want to thank you guys for checking us out. Could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us, and I appreciate that. And this is Case Study QB's Political Junkies, and we are out of here. All right.